So if you remember what I was talking about this morning about the embargo reviews that were about to start coming out today, and take those with a grain of salt, the afternoon has just been like I went to bed, took a nap, woke up, and after the nap, it's just been my X feed, my Facebook feed, my YouTube feed, Discord, like everything is just full of all of these different outlets posting reviews. Then a lot of my favorite content creators are posting their reviews now that they're able to drop their reviews now that they're, the embargo's down, and this person's got 60 hours in and this person's got 40 hours in and this person. What's really interesting to me is the overall theme seems to be Dragon's Dogma 2 is a really, really, really good game with a core RPG that is just as good as the first one, and there are some elements that carry over which make it a great entry into the series, but it also appears to be plagued with jank and performance issues, which a lot of people are saying, are probably going to be getting patched out in the next month or two as they start to do what Baldur's Gate 3 did, in Larian Studios, where they came up with a really solid game that had performance issues and other things. So we're going to be waiting to see how Capcom chooses to address this. But I think the big thing was understanding that the game itself seems to be really, really good, and people are praising the visuals, they are praising the combat, they're praising the open worldness of everything, the RPG aspects, but they're also criticizing the AI. Is still a little bit janky with the pawns. Pawns jumping from great heights and killing themselves by accident. Pawns accidentally breaking the ox carts that you're supposed to be traveling on, leaving you stranded in the middle of nowhere. That kind of stuff. And performance is looking like, even on PCs, is not going to be the flawless experience that many people were hoping for. Pretty much every review I've glanced at today talks about how even on the highest end PCs, they're getting, 50, 60 frames in the open world, but the moment they go into cities, they're dropping to sub 30. So that's something to keep in mind, that even on the highest end PCs, there's going to be performance drops when you get into heavily populated areas. And that's just something that will get patched out over time as they continue to do optimization work. Now that it's out in the wild and they can get, millions of eyes on it as opposed to just, the thousands that they had during testing. What's really interesting is if you look at the numbers for the first game, it can no longer really be defined as a cult classic. It's sold millions and millions and millions of copies. And from the look of things, this one is going to blow the sales estimates out of the water compared to the first game. So it looks really good. Pretty much everywhere across the board that I've been seeing reviews popping up so far, they've been giving this game like a 7.5 to an 8. There's been a couple of outlets that have been like 9.5, and when I see an outlet saying 9.5, I kind of just, when it's right out of the gate, remember with Baldur's Gate 3 as an example, like a lot of the media outlets waited 3 months down the road after all the patches and everything else had happened, and then they started calling it Game of the Year, giving it a review of 10 out of whatever. Um, and instead, I'm seeing with this game, outlets are coming out very quickly. Like, they're not waiting until after the fact. They're doing it immediately right away. They've got their review copies. And most seem to be putting it in the 7.5 to 8 category, with the main complaints being the jankiness of the AI for the pawns and the performance issues here and there. I've also seen some mention of just little things like the camera being your biggest enemy when it comes to scaling mobs, but this really only applies if you're going to be a character class that's going to be scaling mobs. As an example, I plan on playing a magic archer through my build, through my playthrough, so I doubt I will ever be scaling mobs. That could change, I might. But the same issues that plagued the first game in terms of climbing up a mob and then that mob turning and like jamming you up against a corner, that's also happening here. And when that does, you just basically it's the same thing you see in other games that do this, where suddenly you have colliders all around you and the camera's tucked away in a corner and you can't see what's going on at all, and you're blocked in there and you're trying to move and you can't see what you need to block, you can't see what you need to do to defend, and as a result you end up getting the crap beat out of you. So but overall, generally, the praise for the game has been overwhelmingly positive, so that's a very good trend to see. I'm not seeing anyone talk about game-breaking bugs. I'm not seeing any trend of the game won't launch, the game is crashing, blah, 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 blah. I'm just seeing the game is fun. It looks awesome. The combat is great. No one's really, and this is the funny thing here to me, I've yet to see a review that complains about the FPS. Not a single review has complained about the FPS. They have talked about how, yes, the frames do drop in cities, but no one is complaining about 30 frames per second. It's very interesting. There's only a handful of people out there who are like, 60 frames or I'm not going to buy the game. 60 frames, I'm canceling my pre-order. Everybody that's been reviewing the game, from your favorite content creators to the media outlets, no one is complaining about locked 30 on consoles, or the fact that you're getting 30 in cities and outside of cities getting more than that on the PC. No one's complaining, which means quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload, or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. The game obviously runs very good even at 30, which is the same thing you can say for things like Final Fantasy VII, Red Dead Redemption 2, name your 30 frames game out there that we've all played and loved and won Game of the Year awards and so on and so forth. It's been done. It's happened. Get over it. So we're not seeing any legitimate complaints about the frames. It's just more along the lines of, hey, there's some optimization issues when you get into town, which is the same thing that happened with like Rogue Trader and Baldur's Gate 3, in recent months, and even Starfield to a lesser degree. Although Starfield, I didn't really have that many performance issues on Starfield in the Series X. Baldur's Gate 3, I had a lot of performance issues when I got into Act 3 in the city, but then they smoothed those out over the months after. So again, really positive reviews so far. I'm really loving what I'm hearing. I'm really excited to play. We'll be starting our playthrough first thing in the morning, Friday morning. Tomorrow is Thursday. Tomorrow will be a light day for me. I'll be doing some more Dragon's Dogma 2. We may be diving into some of the news articles and some of the reviews for some of my favorite content creators. Like, I know Co Carnage is on his way back home right now, but I know Wolfheart FPS was talking about his review copy today. I'd kind of like to dive into what his thoughts are. So expect me to maybe do some reaction videos tomorrow, but otherwise, tomorrow is me going to do my last grocery store run for the weekend, because once it gets here, I already told Chris, I was like, I love you, honey, but I don't exist this weekend, so you're on your own. I'm going to be playing nonstop from Friday morning, but the goal is to just stream as much as we can for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then after I've gotten, 30, 40 hours into the game over the weekend, we will then start to, sort of like unwind in the early part of next week. And we're going to start to create the guides and the tips and tricks and all the things that I normally do around the channel, like the big bug boss fights and all the other things. So hopefully you're on board for all of that. If you haven't already done so, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. I do daily streams between here and on Twitch, but I also do stuff on Twitch that I don't do here on YouTube, much as I do guides and things here on YouTube that I don't do on Twitch. So you definitely want to follow along in both places. There's a Discord, there's a Patreon. We do a lot of things. Check out all the video guides and, of course, our movie reviews and everything else. And I'll see everybody tomorrow with some more Dragon Dogma 2 news, and very soon, streaming and content creation around the big RPG for March of 2024. Stay safe, everybody. Happy gaming.